vegetable. He's like, no, 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 no. You want me to hold? First of all, you want me to hold it and chop? You want me to hold? You want me to? No, no, no. That might give me nightmares, dog. I'm like, all right, yeah, be deficient in everything then. Just walk around needing a nap twice a day. That's on you. Horrific medical advice. The type of medical advice that makes you go, oh, okay. I didn't think there'd be anything worse than WebMD, but I found you. So they were doing these home diagnostic tests and everything, and they were sending people stuff back, being like, yeah, you got a bunch of like heart stuff in your family. And then they would act accordingly. They'd go to their doctor, they'd run a bunch of tests, and if they were lucky, that was like incorrect, you know? Or sometimes they would miss whole things, you know? They'd be like, nah, you good. You good. In fact, your blood pressure low. You might want to get something salty right now. No, hit that pork chop right quick. You have the pork chop, all of a sudden you dizzy. Why does my whole left side hurt? And so now that they're going bankrupt, there are people that are looking to buy it. And some of those people are like potentially insurers, which is terrifying. Is everything that I told people not to do when they were on the up and up. I'm like, hey, so now an insurance company is gonna buy your DNA and then not let you do any claims because they're like, no, we know you sick, dog. We saw the 23 in me. You know, if you do the 23andMe of a corporation, they are 100% devil. Also somehow 100% efficient. No, it sucks. I look at where I come from, and like I said, it's from the people who raised me, people who put me together, or what I'm made up of. Like, there are people in my life that I was very fortunate to meet young, who were much older, so they had a lot of wisdom to pass down. I remember there was this woman who would she'd just drop gems on me every now and again, out of nowhere, right? One time she said to me, she was like, you know, be very careful when you're picking a partner. Be very careful who you have a child with, because you're not making a baby, you're making a soul. And that's forever. She also once told me, don't ever trust somebody named after fruit. And I was like, what? And she was like, seriously, if somebody comes in your life named Clementine, she a hoe, all right? Don't trust any Clementines, okay? I know her one time. She told me. We were just sitting, and she was saying this about people, but she was like, when you finally see yourself the way that the people that love you see you, what a wonderful world that'll be. That's all the world's missing. It's people that see themselves the way that the people that love them see them. Truly, like, there's, in everything that people do and everything we search for, we try to find it in all these other places, but there's a level of acceptance that other people have for us, and sometimes we reject it or we think we don't deserve it. But if we could see ourselves, you wish it. You wish it on people when they're battling addiction and depression. You wish, it's like, oh, I just want you to see yourself the way I see you. If you saw yourself the way that I see you, you wouldn't you wouldn't feel this way about yourself. No. She also once told me never get in an argument with a woman and then eat the pie she makes after that argument. That's a pie full of glass. One time, she told me, I don't even know where it came from, but she said that sometimes when people are searching for love, and all they really need is to find someone who reminds them of their best day. Find someone who feels like their best day. You're gonna argue. You're gonna not be able to stay each other sometimes, but you can find somebody that feels like your best day. You won't always be happy, but you'll be like really in love. She was like, you find someone who feels like the best day that you've ever had. Because the best days only come once in a while. Every day can't be the best day, by definition. But if you find somebody that feels like your best day, you found a truly good life.
Color without the high cost? Skip the salon and do your color at home.
Rule 3. Go ahead. Make the first move.
There's a reason Arctic natives just call cold plunges plunges.
It's a blanket.
Just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
There's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. At NYU Langone Health, we get our surgery patients home sooner than any other health system.
Get tax expertise without hidden fees. Switch to a TurboTax expert for $150. Save by the fees and match with a trusted expert to handle your taxes. All forms, all returns, all tax situations. $150 all in. No surprises. Now this is taxes. Ultimate TurboTax.
She also told me that one time she got in an argument with her ex-husband and she decided to let it go in that moment, you know, and bake him a pie. She was like, it wasn't my best day. I understand why people would want to do 23andMe, and I understand, at least on the surface, why they went bankrupt. They made the mistake of making a really good product and giving it to everybody, and everybody only needed it once, and that is tough. That's tough to watch people use a thing, watch that valuation go up. At one point, it was worth $6 billion. Billion. $6 billion. That's crazy. And then, you know, they started dropping off left and right. You know, people were like, oh, I'm not going to renew their subscription. Or I sent it to my friend, but they don't want to take it. The other reason people didn't want to take it was the other thing they did did that was really good, but was their undoing, was they were helping to catch a lot of murderers. There were a lot of murderers who didn't even do 23andMe. They were like, I don't care how Scandinavian I am. And they're like, well, your cousin does. Hands behind your back. They go, that's tough. That's tough. You know what I mean? Because look, listen, I'm not rooting for criminals, okay? But how would you feel if you did all that planning? You know what I mean? You do all that planning, you rob a bank, you make it out scot-free. They're gonna make a movie about this one day and not know how to end it. You made it off scot-free, didn't kill anybody, very low charges if they catch you, just brandishing a weapon, get on the ground, you know, took all the money and stuff like that, haven't even spent it yet. And then one day, it's very quiet. It's so quiet that you're like, damn, it's quiet in here. And maybe you live in an apartment building. You're like, usually I hear somebody arguing with their spouse, hear some kids, maybe, hear some loud music, some teenagers around here. You don't hear anything. And then out of nowhere, they bust open your door. They cleared out all the neighbors, like, get on the ground. And you're like, what? How? How is this possible? You don't even have the money on it. You planned it so well, the money's buried in another state. How? Oh, well, when you were robbing the bank, you cut your finger and it bled a little. And a brother you don't know you have spit in a cup in Providence, Rhode Island. Honestly, we were about to be the one for that. Like, we were like, all the markers aren't matching and we can't seem to connect the dots. And then your cousin spit in that cup. Turns out, you're pretty Scandinavian. You are very Scandinavian. Pick you up off the floor. Oh, thanks. Had no idea. Carting you off. Who knows? Maybe 23andMe's data, your data, will end up in good hands. Yeah, if you feel that way, you should delete it off the website right now. We are so loose with our data.
Here are 3 hacks that I take advantage of while I deliver with Uber. The first hack is that Uber provides intel through earning trends. Uber has powerful data from previous weeks that shows where and when to expect deliveries to be fulfilled, so you can pick the best times to deliver. The second hack is busy areas. These pop up when one area has a high amount of requests for deliveries, allowing you to know exactly where to be to maximize your earnings. The last hack is instant pay. You can cash out on your earnings up to 5 times a day, so you don't have to worry about depending on a schedule that's not your own. That leaves no reason not to try, so sign up today and get started.
Download now.
Please make it loud for Josh Johnson!
I love being in Seattle. It's dope here, you know. Feels like if Brooklyn had mountains. Yeah, it's just a more relaxed, seemingly relaxed pace of life here than I'm used to. Because even y'all's, I'm not critiquing, I'm just noticing. Even y'all's crime is at a slower pace. You know what I mean? Like, y'all still got crime and everything, but when it happens, it's like, everybody's like, oh yeah, that is illegal. This didn't happen this time, but years ago, I was in Seattle and I saw, it was a very confusing sight. I don't know what I saw, but what it looked like from the outside, looking in Brooklyn to Seattle, what it looked like was this woman's purse had been stolen. But the thief and the woman weren't running. I think that's what confused us all, because we were, like, one of two things was happening, all right? Either a couple had an argument, the man walked away, forgetting he had been holding his girlfriend's purse. So he walking off in a huff, and then she following him because maybe she knows whatever she said went a little too far this time. Or a man with very little commitment to his craft stole a woman's purse and then casually walked off. And then a woman who must not care about the purse decided, I'll go get it. It was so confusing because the man was walking and he was walking like casually, just walking, holding the purse, but just walking. And then the woman behind him is like, hey, hey, hey. And then at one point she leaned towards the purse to grab, the strap. And the man was like, huh. That's when I had to reassess the whole situation. Because what if it was not this woman's purse? What if this woman is the lazy thief? What if this man is just trying to have a day out with his purse and this woman who likes the purse is like, I would like to have that and I don't plan on paying or running. And they just continued like that down the street. Hey, hey, hey. I watched them do this into the distance. I didn't want to get involved because you ever get involved in an argument and you pick the wrong side, and now you don't know where you stand. You see two people arguing and everything. It's like you try to step in, try to be not necessarily a hero, but just a good Samaritan. Hey, what's the problem here, right? And then you feel like at the end of this thing you should have just left it alone. One time, I was doing a bar show, and we get out of the bar show, and in the parking lot is this couple having this shouting match, and this big old dude and this tiny woman, and he's not moving in a way that's threatening her, but he is like just yelling at her real loud, and she's yelling too, but he's got a booming voice, and she just can't match his level, and they are getting like a little closer. He's still not like bucking up or anything. It's just, if anything, she's walking up to him, I guess to make her point, a little bit more clearly. And so, I don't know, my friends and I saw this, and I just walked over. just being like, hey, y'all good? What's with all this yelling? And admittedly, I was talking to him. This is a big old dude yelling to this tiny woman. And I'm in my head, I'm like, all right, hopefully if I step in, somebody will back me up. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not big enough to stop him, and I don't know the proper techniques, but if I throw myself out of somebody else's cupboard, then maybe together we could come up with something to do. And so he's yelling, she's yelling. I'm like, hey, y'all good? Y'all good? What's up? What's up? Calm down, bro. What's up? And then he's like, she poisoned my dog. Because I had everybody looking at me for when I said I'm gonna go say something. And then they heard that part, and then I'm like, I wish I was over there with y'all, because y'all were in the minding your business section. That looks like a better section to be in. And I didn't know what to do, because I don't know what their history is, but if the most recent thing that has happened is the poisoning of the dog, if the only thing that has happened is the poisoning of the dog, I think he might be in the right to raise his voice, to have a little volume, you know? I don't know the condition of the dog, and so he says that to me, and in the moment, they had both stopped yelling. They were both looking at me. And then the people who I left, my friends from the show, were also looking at me. And in my head, I'm like, well, this really shouldn't be on me. Like that's crazy. I came over to diffuse the situation, and then I became diffused. And so I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? She poisoned my dog. And then everybody's just staring. And so I'm looking at my friends, and I turn back to those two, and I go from looking at him to looking at her, and I go, stop it. No, I hate picking the wrong side. No, it sucks. I've been watching the news, and I can't help but be taken aback what's going on between people and the companies that these people buy from. You know, Target, they know. Believe me. Target has been in more than hot water. They have been boycotted this year because Target, they're an interesting case because they took it upon themselves to try to be, or at least seem, super inclusive of everyone. Now, these companies aren't people. They're trying to make money, and the hope there is that everyone will want to spend their money here if we look like we're for everybody. That's the idea that goes into it. And a lot of people would say that that's just good business. You want to appeal to as many people as possible, so as many people as possible buy your product or products, right? And so they did that. They took it upon themselves to be the place where it's like, look, Target, you can come here, you can get anything. It doesn't matter who you are. We'll make up products just for you. All right? When your month comes around, we're going to make products. We're going to make products that nobody ever made before because nobody asked for. We are going to blow your mind with our products just for you. And they did. Every year they managed to blow my mind by making a product that, as a black person, I never knew I didn't want to see. You know, Black History Month would come around, and then they hit you with something where you're like, do you know any black people? Every product that Target came up with for black people during Black History Month felt like they came up with it off a rumor. Jimmy, in my head, I'm like, there's no way a black person pitched this thing, you know? It would just be like, it would be like grape flavored. You're groaning like you didn't see it too. Like, you just be like grape flavored root beer or something. It'd be like, hi, I don't know who told you to do this. They would come out with stuff that made you go, okay, well, even if a black person pitched you this, there's no way you're gonna make enough money off of this new product to make it worth it. Like, in my head, I was like, selling this for a month, it doesn't make sense. I think you got a lot of leftover grape flavored root beer with nowhere to go. And so Target didn't just do it to black people, they did it to everybody. All my friends got a special month at Target that made them go, huh, this is odd. And they never got the response that they wanted. You know, like, I'm sure Target was like, oh, they'll love this. It's Pride Month, they'll love this. But none, not a single one, not any of my queer friends ever said, oh, we gotta get down to Target. They got that rainbow volleyball. You know that rainbow volleyball that we love? Because rainbow is our whole personality. You know how we've never wanted anything unless it was rainbow. People do to queer people with rainbow what they do to, like, black people with products sometimes, where they'll be like, I don't know how to market it to black. Just make it music, I guess. You know, try and get more black people to, I don't know, eat at Burger King. They're like, what about some drums? You know? And so that's one of the things, is that Target, in their efforts, would sometimes still get into like these mini scandals off of people being like, what's the plan here? Some people would be offended sometimes. And then, there's obviously the thing online where people would get mad at the people getting offended. They're offended, the people are offended. And then they take up for Target, kind of, but then they don't even want the product. It's not like they want the product. And so they're taking up for Target because they're like, hey, we like grape flavor root beer over here, right? That never happened. It was always someone like, they made it for you, why are you so offended, right? And then taking up for Target as if they want a rainbow volleyball. Very weird. It's like a very weird investment to get into like a product that nobody is buying. And then Target would try to like sidestep. They try to come up with something else. It would be worse. It'd be so much worse. Next year they're like, we're gonna do right by everybody. This product is gonna kill them. All right, they'll love it. Watermelon paper plates. And then they see the article and they're like, okay, maybe that was bad. I don't know. Maybe, how was I supposed to know? It's not like any black people are like in the C-suite, so. There was one too that cracked me up. This one genuinely is very funny to me. Like, none of them really offended me, but I really couldn't get offended at this one because it was so funny. So basically, Black History Month came around and they had made a bunch of like prominent black leaders, these magnets with a bunch of prominent black leaders on them, and all of the magnets were like labeled to the wrong person. Like, it was. You could just tell whoever did it that day. Like, they were looking at Booker T. Washington, they were like, Muhammad Ali. Like, I just don't know who that product's for. Like, personally, I just don't know. Yeah, I don't know who was like, oh, life is good. It's almost perfect. But you know what I don't have? Martin Luther King on my fridge. And sometimes people were more than just offended by these products. Sometimes people felt like that this was like a direct mocking or something, you know, and so then they would boycott Target. And a lot of these previous boycotts, I don't really know how much market value, I don't really know how much stock went down, because it wasn't really a unified front on some of these boycotts. I'm sure they hurt, but they didn't make news in how much they hurt, you know.
Booking.com has stays for absolutely anyone. Imagine you're a merman. You find a beach resort for your mer family with a plunge pool, a wave pool, and yoga. What? Mermen do yoga too. If a merman can find their perfect stay, anyone can. Booking.com, booking.yeah.
And then in 2020, in the wake of George Floyd's murder, right? Target, like a lot of companies, made pledges. They made pledges. Target pledged somewhere in the neighborhood of like $2 billion to black businesses over time, and $100 million to black communities also over time. And yeah, that was a, you know, you look back at 2020 and you remember 22. You remember when everybody was like, we don't stop being racist. Remember that? Remember in 2020, I mean, we were all in our rooms. Everybody was like, who would I even be racist to? They're not here. You know how hard it is to be racist when they not even here. You know, we're going to stop it. We're all going to stop it. Companies pledge to stop it. People pledge to stop it. And then we got outside and we were like, oh, I remember. This is America. Come on now, we got to do a little racism. We said it, but come on, we said a lot of things, all right? We said we were going to learn another language. We didn't do that either. We were inside. You say crazy stuff when you get cabin fever, like, I'll stop being racist. Yeah. And so, then you have the next few years where Target themselves, no one was talking to Target that I know of. Nobody had put a target on Target to like be the great hope of black business. They got involved. They were like, and we'll do $2 billion. But nobody was looking at them that I know of. They just inserted themselves. You know, like an annoying person would. And they made a big pledge. That's a big pledge. Even if you were a multi-billion-dollar company, $2 billion is like a lot. And so you see, when Target gets all into all the diversity, all the inclusivity and everything, that's just to try to make money. I hope we can all understand that, and not just because they betrayed the things that they said that they cared about like 5 years ago. I think even when they were saying it, even when it was happening, we were like, okay. I mean, I look at a company making promises about how much its mission cares about people, multi-billion-dollar company. I look at that the way I look at, like, sexting. If you've ever been sexted before, depending on who it is, you've read the message and you've said to yourself, the thing I say to myself when I read the mission statement of $1 billion company, you're not gonna do all that. No, that's a lie, that's a lie. And I don't even know where this money was supposed to go or where it started going or if it was just for the press release. I have no idea. But I know that when Trump won, Trump immediately day one was like, we're gonna get rid of DEI, we're gonna get rid of all of these programs, we want everything to be merit-based and fair, so obviously we have to get rid of as many people as possible who earn their position over time. And so that's what they did. He started making moves immediately. And then Target, once again, could have done nothing. That's what's so crazy about the situation Target's in. They could have said nothing. Nobody was checking for the watermelon paper plates. In fact, if a Black History Month went by and Target didn't make a new product, we probably would have thought, wow, good on you. Y'all really have learned from your ways. Y'all really a regular store now. You're not trying to help or anything. You're not throwing out, Malcolm X, but it's Michael Jackson. Y'all are just being a regular store where I can go buy regular paper plates. They didn't have to say anything, but then Target came out once again, inserting themselves like an annoying person would. And be like, hey, we're getting rid of DEI too. People were like, oh, okay. Once again, no one was talking to you. And look, these are moves that are made for money. That's what they always were. Even when I heard about those pledges from Target, it didn't make me go, oh, Target, you care about me? I guess the next time I'm on my way home, I need one of those, toothpick things. You know, the thing that's like floss, but it has a handle. I guess if I need one of those and Target is on the way home, maybe I'll buy it at Target. That's as much as it moved me. But just because I didn't have a business and I didn't really know what this pledge meant, so it didn't change my mind about Target. I don't care about Target enough for my mind to be changed. I just went on about my life. And then, whenever they made this statement of we're getting rid of all of our DEI too, I was like, guys, I still don't care about you. You can't move me one way or the other. There's other stores on the way home. But people who either were pledged that money or have been watching Target to make sure they kept their word, they noticed that statement. And they noticed that it's pretty convenient to get all the social capital out of making a pledge. A $2 billion pledge and a $100 million pledge that you haven't had to come up good on. And now you're going to end it just in time to not really get into it. That's very convenient. And so then there were people who called him up on it. They were like, all right, look, a pledge is a pledge. You can label it however you want, but you said publicly that you would be donating this money. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to boycott. We're going to boycott Target. And then this Target boycott started. And a lot of people poo-pooed it initially. A lot of people were like, Target gets boycotted all the time. Didn't you hear about the grape-flavored root beer? But this thing was different. And there's a lot of numbers in it. There's a lot of numbers to the tune of $100 million to more than $2 billion. This thing takes off, really takes off. And admittedly, I found out about it late. I did. I'll tell you right now. I found out about the Target boycott very, very late. And I don't mean very, very late as in yesterday. I found out about it when I was in Target. I was in Target. And then there was somebody also in Target leaned over to me and was like, hey, we don't shop here right now. You gotta see this from my perspective real quick. From my perspective, I had gone into a store. Into a store. I'm not thinking about his Target. I went into a store to get what I needed to get. And then while shopping, I was approached by someone who was like, we don't shop here right now. You know how perplexing that is? So many things were going through my head at one time. Because the first thing is like, we don't shop here right now. In my head, I'm like, all right, do you work at like Walmart or something? Like, do you? What's your deal, right? Then I had another thought. I was like, okay, all right. We don't shop here right now. But you're in here. I said, but you're in here. And they were like, I'm in here to let people know we don't shop here right now. And I was like, oh, interesting. And effective, like I wasn't aware. It's just so funny to have somebody in the store to let people know we don't shop at the store. It just feels like the most, it's just the most like, what's it called? It's the most civility I've seen in what must feel like to the store, robbing the store. Because I put that, like, in my hand, I had the toothpick with the handle, and I was like, oh, I already had it in my hand, but I guess I can put it back. And then I walked out, and that's money that they didn't make. It's like that thing is effective. And so I didn't buy the toothpick thing. I left, right? And in my head, I left, but I was also like, that thing was like $6. So I guess I didn't get my $6, but hopefully they really needed it. Hopefully that $6. I love when a company who's done something bad need the money bad. Like, you know, like when somebody needs the money bad, they're like, hey, look, brother, look. If you can hold me over with this $8. And so, you know, I left. I went to CVS. To my knowledge, they hadn't done anything, so felt like a safe place to get the toothpicks. I've had something in between my teeth the entire day, so I needed desperately. Even when the man was telling me we don't shop here right now, he was like, ooh, you got. And so, yeah, so I left. And wasn't really sure what would come of it. And then on the way home, I'd see Target and be like, yeah, whatever. I'll make it to CVS. It's 2 more blocks. Really not knowing, because a boycott now is different than a boycott from the past. A boycott from the past, you had to. It was imperative that you used your body and your voice to be there in real time. You had to go there. You had to go outside. You had to pick it outside of the store to let people know how you felt about the store. And the numbers that you had, it sort of dictated the narrative, you know? Because they couldn't run. They had newspapers that they could maybe run some ads in or try to create a narrative, but nobody could argue with what they saw with their own eyes. Not yet. It wasn't present day. Because now, if you want to boycott, you have options. You have options you've never had in the past. You can be there with your voice, with your body, right? Or you could be online organizing a different picket line, organizing a different room full of people in agreement with you, outrage at this company, you think they've done something wrong. And it doesn't even have to be a worthy cause. Truly, that's what's crazy about it. It's like, it's the same as it's always been, but there's just different avenues to do those same things. So now you have the benefit. Instead of needing to fly everyone who cares about this thing and thinks this thing to the same space that you're in right now, to be in a picket line with you, so you can show the company that hundreds, maybe even thousands of people feel this way. You can just be online. These companies, they're trying to be just like us. They're trying to act and behave like people. They want you to think of them as a person, which is why they do things to try to ingratiate themselves to you like a person would. They make pledges of things they'll do, things that maybe would ingratiate you to them and feel like they're your friend. They're not your friend, they're a corporation. But you can use the fact that they want to seem like a person to you to let them know how you feel about them. That's access that has never happened until now, you know? And so you get all of these people doing it at one time, and it does have a compound effect. Because it's not as visible as it was in 50s, 60s, 70s, I think we sometimes lose a little bit of hope and a little bit of understanding of what a boycott can do, of what a protest can do. Because it seems like these companies have so much money that they can never be brought back down. But that's just not true. You know, you look at Target from then to now, and I know market valuations go up and down. I know they fluctuate. Things are not set in stone just because they go bad for a while. But them going bad for a while is a wake-up call to the company. And people boycotted Target, even up until present day. I don't know when it'll be over, to be honest with you. I really don't know when I can go in Target again. And I'm not thirsty to go in Target again. I'm just like, it's on the way home, and I just have to keep reminding myself, like, no, we not, no, right? But Target has lost more than it promised. Target's lost more